Well, it's a pleasure to have the Lima City Fire Chief with us today. We're going to find out what's happening with the department, and we've got some tips because it's cooled off. With us today, Chief Andy Heffner, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Holly. Glad to be here.
All right. So first of all, let's talk about something fun. I assume you guys like, as a department, to go on out because you're going to participate in the trunk or treat that's coming up.
Trunk or treat is fantastic. It's just another opportunity for us to meet with the public, and that interaction is what I think we miss a lot of times as civil servants, is actually getting out to meet the public in a place where it's not an emergency, where you're not sitting in an emergency situation and you don't have time to actually talk and interact with the kids and the parents.
Yeah, so it's a good situation for both. I mean, you can, hey, you want to be a firefighter, or like a kid
Or
when
police
they grow
officer.
up,
Once again, as we know, the police officers having a little trouble recruiting, and also last couple years, a stigma that might have been associated with them.
Right.
Just letting kids understand these are just normal human beings who want to help them as much as they can. And then I think the candy might also help.
Oh, I think that probably helps too. All right, so that's Saturday, October 28th, noon to 2 at Lima Senior Parking Lot. So, okay, so let's talk though, because it's already gotten a little chilly, and I know people have already turned on their heat. So let's talk about heat and heaters on the side and the things that you need to do to make sure you're going to stay safe this winter.
Well, once we start seeing the skeletons and the pumpkins out and things that are a bit scary, we know that winter's coming. We know there's nothing we can do. We're Ohioans. We're in level 5 in the cold belt. We're at level 5. So once we get in that level, we know that it's going to get cold in the winter. A few things that you can do. Check your filters. Make sure your filters are clean. That's a simple way of helping. If we get another nice day, here's a tip for you. Change your filters out, open up your windows, and turn your heater on. We all have that odd smell when you turn it on. You're not going to be able to avoid that, but open your windows up, turn your heater on, so at least it'll blow out of the house, so then you'll be prepared. You should every 5 years at least have a service check done on your heating system. And also for you, give a visual inspection. Make sure there's no cracks in your pipes. There's no problem with the flue, so CO doesn't end up in your home. And also do another visual inspection of like your fireplace and also your chimney.
You brought up CO. That's something you really don't know when it's in your house, right? Unless you have an alarm. Like a smoke detector, you need one of those alarms.
Very important. And it used to be where CO detectors were very expensive. They're still a little bit expensive. But now let's weigh this out. The safety of your family and yourself, and knowing you'll have early detection or not. But if you don't have one and you think you're having like flu-like symptoms, but you don't feel sick, you're tired, lethargic, give us a call and we'll come out and do a check for you.
Right, because we probably have more of those cases than we actually realize, that where people need to have their house checked, and you might catch them every once in a while.
And you will, and yes, we do catch them every one, but it's a couple times a year, you'll read about that tragedy or see it on television where a family has passed because they didn't have a CO meter.
Right, yeah, exactly. Now, sometimes the normal heating system, you want a little extra heat, and so we have those little side heaters and stuff like that. I assume they're better now. Like, I know a lot turn off once they fall and stuff, but what's some normal tips that you would have with those extra heaters?
They are better now. They're absolutely better.
I assume they still happen with fire,
But
though.
the problem is a space heater doesn't have an expiration date on it. It'll continue working even if it's 30 years old. So the problem is we have older space heaters still in use, which I understand if you couldn't afford to get a new one, but they're still in use and they are dangerous because of the ones with those red barbs that go through the middle of them, and they get very, very hot. We're at the point where a blanket could touch them and catch fire. If you use one of those, only use them when you're awake. Don't put them in a bedroom when you're sleeping. Because here you have the 3 of the worst things that can happen. 1, you have a fire. 2, you're asleep, and it's probably going to block your exit. So if you're going to use one of those, please make sure that you're awake and you're not using it while you're sleeping. Right,
yeah, and while you're sleeping, just extra blankets and stuff,
Extra
right?
blankets, absolutely.
All right, and keep them away from, like, we got Christmas trees coming up, the curtains, all those kind of things. Just think safety first when it comes to that.
Yeah, give yourself a perimeter and don't have it anywhere where a blanket could fall while you're sleeping and catch it. But I do understand that people get cold and it's a supplemental heating, but just be very careful.
All right, some good tips early in the season. Hopefully it doesn't get too cold, right?
Right, hopefully.
Right. Thanks, Chief, for coming today. All right, don't go away. Noon Edition continues in a moment.